As soon as you enter the device's operating interface, you will see an option where you will be prompted to set up a new user ID and password. In my case, I had used the same word for both the username and password, which is why I was asked to change the password and set it up again. Please keep in mind that the username and password must be different. Today, we will take a look at a device called the Omada Pro AX1800 Indoor-Outdoor Wi-Fi 6 Access Point. AP8635-I. The Omada Pro AX1800 Indoor-Outdoor Wi-Fi 6 Access Point delivers speeds of up to 1.8 gigabits per second, which are boosted by the latest Wi-Fi 6 technology. A built-in gigabit Ethernet port allows smooth network for demanding outdoor environments, such as yards, swimming pools, outdoor cafe, parks, and more. PO Plus Supported also provides flexible installations. After changing the password and entering the device interface, you will see a window related to the interface options or device information. This window will display key details such as the device name, device model, firmware version, MAC address, IP address, subnet mask, LAN port, system time, uptime, and, at the end, critical information like CPU utilization and memory utilization. Inside the status menu, the next option available is wireless. After entering this option, the first thing we see is the SSID list, followed by the radio settings, where two bandwidth options are available. First, there is the 2.4 GHz bandwidth, and then the 5 GHz bandwidth, along with the wireless channel settings. Further down, you will see the radio traffic bandwidth usage, where you can view the usage of the 2.4 GHz bandwidth and the 5 GHz bandwidth separately for wireless connections. Below that, you will also find the LAN traffic usage details. The next option within the status menu is Client. Upon entering, you will first see the list of devices or clients connected to your access point, including their IP addresses or IDs. If you look further down, you will notice information about any devices that have been blocked or had their access restricted, which will also be displayed here.
Next, we move to the most important section of this device. Since it is a wireless device, we will now explore the wireless tab and take a look at the advanced networking options available here. At the very beginning, we can see that the two bandwidths are displayed separately, 2.4 GHz bandwidth and 5 GHz bandwidth options. And here, separate settings are provided for each type of signal band, allowing individual configuration for the 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz bands. Here, you can customize settings such as wireless mode, channel width, channel type, and TX power separately for each signal band. Here, you can see that there are completely separate settings available for the 5 GHz band, designed in the same way as shown earlier for the 2.4 GHz band. You can fully customize everything, including the wireless mode, channel width, bandwidth channel, and TX power, according to your preferences. The next option is Portal. Since this is an access point, you can use it as a Wi-Fi access point portal. In this case, you can create a login access page for the access point's interface or web page. For example, if you're using a hotspot and the device is connected to the correct network, this option will allow connectivity between the hotspot and the website through the portal. The next option is VLAN. In many cases, VLANs are used in servers, and to connect with VLANs, this option has been built into this access point. It allows you to manage and configure VLAN settings directly on the device. This device has an option called MAC filtering. With this feature, you can block or allow the connectivity of specific devices by their MAC addresses. It gives you control over which devices are allowed to connect to the network. There is an option called Scheduler in this device. Through this feature, you can set specific times to enable or disable certain options based on your preferences. However, a detailed explanation of this feature would require a separate video, so today, we are keeping the discussion brief. The QoS, Quality of Service, option allows you to control the speed for various devices connected to your access point. In simple terms, it functions as a bandwidth controller, enabling you to manage the speed for a specific device or all devices connected to the network. This option helps prioritize traffic and ensures smoother performance for critical tasks. The next option is Management. Here, we see a tab called Network, which contains the IP settings option. You can configure the IP settings in two ways: dynamic, DHCP, and static. Below that, there's the System Log option. In this section, you can view the system logs, or if you have a log server, you can directly send the logs to the server for better management and tracking. A TP-Link router web server refers to the web-based interface or management portal that is accessible through a web browser used to configure, monitor, and manage the router's settings. TP-Link routers, like most modern routers, come with a built-in web server that allows you to interact with the router by entering the router's IP address, typically something like 192.168.0.1 or 192.168.1.1 in a web browser. This opens a login page where you can access various settings and features. Management access refers to the process by which you access and configure the settings of your TP-Link router. This access is typically achieved through the router's web-based management interface, which allows you to manage all aspects of the router's functionality. LED control refers to the ability to manage or modify the behavior of the LED lights on your TP-Link router. The LED lights on a router typically indicate the status of various functions. SSH, Secure Shell, is a network protocol used to securely access and manage devices, including routers, over a network. In the context of a TP-Link router, SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol, is a protocol used to manage and monitor devices on a network, such as routers, switches, servers, and printers. Account management on a TP-Link router refers to the ability to manage user accounts and control access to the router's settings and functions. This includes configuring who can log into the router's web interface, changing administrator credentials, and setting up different user roles for various levels of access to the router. TP-Link routers, controller settings typically refer to features and settings used for managing and controlling the network through a centralized controller or management platform and cloud-based controller management, and controller inform URL. Time settings on a TP-Link router refer to the configuration of the router's internal clock, which is used for various purposes, including logging events, scheduling tasks, and ensuring accurate network behavior. Proper time settings are crucial for functions such as event logging, parental controls, Wi-Fi schedule, system logs, and firmware updates. With this option, you can remotely and easily reset the router through this interface. Through this option, you can create a backup of your TP-Link router and later restore it from that backup. This is an important feature, especially if you want to make changes to the router's settings and configurations, or if you need to reset the router and want to recover the previous settings. Through this option, you can update the firmware of your router. First, you need to download the required firmware file. Then, come to this option and upload the firmware file here. Once you do that, the firmware update process will be completed.